All right, welcome back to another edition of the Dirty Verdict Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Peter Taaffe.
I'm Kyle Herbert. Again, we are sans Bill Ogden, but I'm ready to take up this challenge, Peter. I think we have enough energy without Bill to make it through one more segment.
I think you're right.
And we have a fantastic guest.
We do. Kyle, we try to get a lot of diverse legal areas. One area I think we haven't done as much with, we haven't done bankruptcy, I don't think at all.
Well, it is a sexy, sexy world, bankruptcy.
We have had y'all bag on bankruptcy lawyers maybe not being the sexiest lawyers in town.
That's true.
I didn't comment on that, but y'all did. And we're going to have some defense here. Two, we've had a couple commercial litigators or, more established lawyers, not the
yahoos we normally get.
But this week we've got a combo guest. We're covering a lot of bases. We've got Avi Moshenberg here today.
Avi Moshenberg, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
So you really are, this is the first time we've had anybody that has even a passing flirtation with bankruptcy, and we very rarely have commercial litigators on. Tell us basically, what is your area of practice? What do you do?
Yes, I'm a commercial litigator. I do mostly plaintiff side commercial litigation.
Okay, so I've already got a question.
Yeah, you got it.
When I handle commercial cases, the plaintiff is the person that filed first, usually. And the defendant is like, I was going to sue your ass anyways. I'll be the defendant. What do you mean by you handle mostly plaintiffs' commercial litigation?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I'm representing people like suing, directors and officers of a company on behalf of business owners, for example.
Okay.
Or sometimes it'll be like fraudulent transfer cases.
Okay.
Where, a plaintiff's lawyer is suing, a company, and then it turns out the company's siphoning assets over to someone else to avoid having to pay. So actually, I'll do a lot of work with plaintiffs' personal injury lawyers because that's how we get looped in a lot.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times in their cases, they'll find some shenanigans happening on the defense side and that they're moving money around or something like that, and there's fraudulent transfers happening. They'll bring us in, and we'll prosecute those. And just the nature of it is a lot of times these defendants will end up filing for bankruptcy or in bankruptcy, and we'll get looped in to bring these kind of claims against the defendants or recipients of fraudulent transfers.
What do they call that? Is it like a derivative case inside of a bankruptcy?
They call it an adversary proceeding.
That's right.
Yeah, so we do a ton of those. So, the way it works in bankruptcy is a lot of times, like if you have a Chapter 7 versus a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, Chapter 7 is when you're selling all your assets and you're liquidating all your claims, and there's a trustee put in place, and he's got to file lawsuits against anyone that the debtor has a claim against to get some money back.
I got it. Okay.
And so the trustee will hire me to go sue people to go get money for those creditors who got screwed into bankruptcy. Right?
I got it. So, I'm a prosperous former mayor of New York. I'm owed a bunch of money by my client. I'm going to file bankruptcy. You get appointed as the trustee to go recover funds that are owed to me.
Yeah, but I won't be the trustee. The trustee will hire me as their lawyer.
Got it.
Yes. So the trustee is like quarter pointed. I hear you. I see your eyes getting all big. There's a lot going on there. But, there's like a quarter pointed trustee, and they need a lawyer to bring a plaintiff's case. And
Do you ever get hired by state court receivers under a similar concept?
Not yet. But
I'd like to.
Yeah, why not?
It's the same concept, right? A state judge will appoint a receiver, and then that receiver is charged with going to collect money for the estate, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And then pay off the creditors of the estate.
Absolutely.
Same concept.
Definitely the same concept.
Okay, and your firm is?
I'm at McDonald Heatherington.
And we know Tom Heatherington you're behind me at U of H. You're a South Texas guy, though, right?
I am. But yeah, Tom Heatherington is a badass litigator. And he is just a rock star, especially on the defense side.
Yeah.
It's just a real treat to work with him.
Very big Rice football player, but former, I think, law alumni associate. Once we got the new law school building, Tom was the head of the alumni association at the time. So he was
At U of H?
Very big supporter of U of H.
Cool.
So how big is the firm now?
I think we're coming up on 75 lawyers.
How many offices?
We got like 4 offices or so, and we're largely a defense practice, but we've formed this commercial plaintiff side. So it's me and this other lawyer that are really spearheading most of it. And that's sort of our niche within the firm. We're bringing these cases on contingency. especially in the bankruptcy world, because like there's actually not a lot of lawyers in bankruptcy that are willing to do contingency work. It's usually people wanting to do hourly work, but you got a bankrupt estate and there's not enough money to pay a lawyer, right? Then, there's a need for that. That's where we come in.
Avi, where are you from?
Originally from New Jersey. Wow. That's privileged. You can't tell anyone that. I tell everyone I'm just from Texas.
Okay. Why?
At least I got it. Well, I mean, come on, it's Texas. They don't. My wife reminds me regularly. She's from Texas, and
people love the Garden State.
Yeah. It's okay.
Where in New Jersey?
Okay, I'm actually from Rumson, Fairhaven, which is where Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi live.
That is awesome.
So,
Totally clear.
Yeah.
Meet me tonight in Atlantic City. That's a little boss for you.
Yeah. That was beautiful. I gotta say, in my
is this still recording? Because you could probably take that part out. It's recording. Good.
Okay. I'm like, when I was like 11 years old, my dad took me. The first concert I ever went to was Bruce Springsteen on the Born in the USA tour at the freaking Astrodome.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, he's such a badass. Obviously, the best job I had in my life was when I worked at Dunkin' Donuts in high school. And one day, Bruce Springsteen walked in.
Shut your face.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I got him a donut, and I wished him a dunkerific day, and it was fantastic.
Man.
Hard to do that, or was that just extra credit?
That was extra. I really wanted him to look at me and acknowledge me, and it did not work.
Did you come up with dunkerific day, or is that part of the deal?
No, that was me talking.
That was from the heart. That was you and the boss connecting somewhere near Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Yeah, we didn't connect. He didn't really care for it.
He had other stuff on his mind.
That's right.
He was busy being the heart and soul of America.
That's exactly.
Young man.
100%.
So when his latest hit, Have a Dunkerific Day, comes out, I don't know, it was there.
It'll be a jam with probably a local Houston rap artist like Megan Thee Stallion.
Sure.
like a joint Dunkerific jam, and you're going to be a background dancer.
I think you got it right.
I like your chances.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you're from where is that? Is it?
It's by the shore. We're about 5-6 minutes from the beach.
Is it anywhere near Perth Amboy?
It's more to the south. So, there's a big myth out there, and I want to dispel that today. It's really important. That's why I came on.
Thank you.
Because people think that there's a North and South New Jersey only. There's a Central New Jersey, and that's where I'm from.
Yeah, right there in the middle.
Right there in the middle by the water. And I just could not leave here without saying that. So I'm glad I had an opportunity to tell you guys.
Well, and now we can go. We're done.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, representing Middle Jersey, and goodbye and good luck.
Well, I'll just say that I didn't know there was a debate about North and South and Central. I'll say this, though. When I was a kid, I just thought New Jersey was just like all buildings and like New York, just same like New York. Then I went there, and there's like this nice, pleasant countryside.
Yeah,
like
it's really pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they call it the Garden State, I guess.
The home of the first college football game.
Really?
Yeah.
At Rutgers, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. My mom was a professor at Rutgers.
Oh, wow. Scarlet Knights, what did she teach?
She taught Hebrew and Hebrew literature.
Shabbat Shalom.
I don't know what those words mean.
My knowledge of Hebrew is less than my knowledge of Yiddish, which is very little.
But your accent was so good.
Really?
Yeah. Killed it.
So
for a Gentile from Friendswood, I'll take that as a compliment.
Straight out of New Jersey, you ended up at Pitt, University of Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I went to University of Pittsburgh.
How did that come about?
Well, I mean, that's just a popular school up there, but they had this really cool honors college, and I got admitted into it, and they had this like major that you could do and get an honors thesis and get an honors degree, and I was really attracted to it, and I wanted to do that. And it was really cold.
What was your thesis on?
Well, not getting political. It was actually about the Iraq War at the time.
Yeah, everybody loves the Iraq War.
Yeah, it was, obviously the most popular war. So I agree with you. But
at least in our lifetime.
Fair enough. No, it was interesting because I was, starting to like figure out how messed up the whole system is. And, what I wanted to know is how much were people in Congress voting the way they did to support the war based on election pressure. And so we were trying to isolate how safe each member of Congress, their seat was, and the arguments they made for the war. And what we kind of found was if you had a really safe seat, you were more likely to speak up against the war. And if you were in a more iffy seat, then you were going to be, all gung-ho for it.
Look, I'm just saying if you own stock in the military-industrial complex, honesty means once you're bought, you stay bought.
That's a deal. A deal's a deal.
Fair.
Except for Boeing right now. They're having a tough time.
Are they?
Boeing? Yeah. What's the, so what is the kind of vibe of University of Pittsburgh? Is it like a city school, or is it does it have a more conventional college campus, or is it in the city or out of the city?
It's in the city, right? It's just like probably a mile north of the downtown. So it's got an urban feel to it for sure. But, it's still like a safe college campus, and it's, a great place. I was shocked by how into research they are and how academic it is. You get the stereotypes of a school like that, and maybe you don't think that's going to be the case. But turns out they have like one of the top medical programs in the country, top physical therapy programs, nursing. It was just like a place full of crazy smart people, and it was a real treat to go to the honors college there.
So it's my understanding that Pitt has a giant tower in the middle of campus called the Cathedral of Learning.
Yeah. I was at the very top of it. That's where I live.
So here's your trivia question.
Okay.
How many stories tall is the Cathedral of Learning?
Okay, I think the honors college was on floors 35 and 36.
Really?
Top.
Well, you're close. There are 42 floors.
Really?
42 floors. I'm trying to figure out how many feet. Peter, what I want to know from you is how tall is the UT Tower, also known as the main building?
I think maybe 18 floors.
18 floors?
Something like that.
You think it's 180 feet?
It's not as tall as 42 floors. It's
okay, so remember this. 535 feet. My guess is the UT Tower is taller.
It is Texas. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We didn't know at that point we were competing, so we made it. That made it old. Our tower's pretty old. Okay, Kyle, while Kyle's looking, what do you call the cathedral?
Oh, man. It's not even close.
Am I right?
We are 27 floors, 307 feet.
Yeah.
But we're thicker at the base than the Cathedral of Learning.
Low County Learning happening at the bottom.
Yeah. What do you call the Cathedral of Learning? COL? Or
we just called it the Cathedral, or a Cathedral of Learning. Yeah. It was fantastic because, in college, I don't know if you know this, but sometimes the college kids will drink alcohol. And, you lose your bearings a lot of times about, where's your house? Where's your apartment? How do you find yourself?
So long as you can see the tower.
It was a beacon just calling us home. It was fantastic.
Beacon. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And then, okay, you're obviously here now, but what did you do between Pittsburgh and your law school destination?
It was a pretty short trek. So I met my wife in high school in New Jersey. She moved from Texas to New Jersey because her dad got a new job, and that's where we met. I already hated New Jersey and everything about it, and here comes this cute Texan girl with a cute Texas accent. And
Where in Texas?
She was from Houston.
Yeah. Where'd she go to high
school?
She
went to Lamar for 2 years. Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yes.
So she started 2 years Lamar, then came up to...
I mean, you could literally hit Lamar with a baseball from where we're recording.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and then so she'd gone there, and did she go to Pittsburgh with you?
No, she went to Rutgers, but we were dating all throughout, and she showed me the promised land of Texas. And I think I like Texas more than she does at this point. I just love Texas.
Yeah. Is she an attorney?
She is not, thank goodness. I don't know if you guys are married to lawyers, but I would never recommend that for anyone.
No, I'm not.
Good.
No, I'm not.
So what does she do?
Well, she's a teacher. She's not teaching this year, but she was a teacher at HISD, Spring Branch. She taught at the Paris School, so she's been all over, specializing for like first grade kids with language and learning differences. She was a reading specialist. So yeah, much better person than I am. Focused on gifted and talented education at one point, and she's cleansing my soul because I know I'm going to the bad place.
Yeah,
so I need her.
She's trying to be kind for both of you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I've got the same. Set up in my house too. So
we need that. We have no other, way to get through.
So where'd you go to law school?
I went to South Texas College.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So in between Pitt and South Texas, did you do anything, or did you go straight?
I did a short stint in New Jersey while my wife was finishing college, but then we moved to Houston as soon as she was done.
Okay, so that was the impetus. She said, "I'm coming back to Texas. You want to come?"
Oh, I believe she said at the first minute
she said, "We're going back to Texas," and you said, "Baby, I was born to run."
Another Bruce reference.
This is going to go on. This is going to go on all night.
Keep it coming, please.
Okay, so and then
wait, hold on. No chance her name's Mary.
Okay, no, that would have been perfect.
Because me and Mary, we met in high school. She was just
Bon Jovi.
No, it's the Bruce.
Oh, okay.
She was just 17.
Oh, I thought
no wedding day smiles, no walk down the aisles, no flowers, no wedding dress. Sorry, but we'll get back on track.
You're killing you, right?
Just if you don't sing, it's fine. You can say whatever lyrics you want as long as you talk them.
Born in the USA, baby.
So you come down here, choices were any school that happens to be in Houston.
Yeah. And, South Texas, I actually clerked at a law firm before I applied to law school at King and Spalding. And, I was picking the lawyers' brains there, and I told them I really want to go to a law school that's obviously superior than the rest, but also I wanted to come out with trial advocacy skills.
And were you working with litigators at King and Spalding?
Yeah, I was, and it was a great group. But they were telling me, if you want to learn lawyer skills, then South Texas is known for their advocacy program, and that if you're going to go there, you've got to get into the advocacy program. And that's what I did. And I'm thankful for it every day that I really get to use those skills that I learned at South Texas advocacy every day in the courtroom.
What year were you there at King and Spalding?
Ooh, I want to say 2008.
Yeah, so it was like Bruce Hurley and...
Yeah, I remember that rings a bell. I mean, it's been a long time, and I've done a terrible job keeping in touch with all those folks. But yeah, Bruce was one of them. Tracy Renfro. Yeah, just a good group.
Yeah, there was guys that I used to work with. Bobby Meadows, Charlene, Craig Leday, all were there.
Yeah, Bobby, very good guy. He was the managing partner at the time. I don't know. I haven't kept track of him, but I suspect he still is.
So we say South Texas to be a trial ad guy, and then you got knee deep into trial ad at South Texas.
Yeah, that's right. Did the mock trial, did the moot court, especially moot court, did the brief writing, went to a lot of tournaments and did the oral argument. It was just a great experience. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but to me, legal writing is such a big part of my practice.
Sure.
And I got to spend so much time with the head of the program, who was used to be the head of the appellate practice at Thompson Knight. And, he just taught me how to write, and I get to use that every day. And it was just so helpful.
I remember when I was a 1L and I went out for moot court and mock trial.
Okay.
And I'll give you the punchline at the end. I ended up being pretty good at mock trial and being on the varsity travel teams for 2.5 years and all that stuff. But I did one moot court competition. And I remember Dean Treese said, Kyle, he said, you got some gifts. I'm not gonna pretend you don't, but we're gonna have to find somebody to write these papers for you. And I said, and that I'm not kidding, that became a theme for the next 25 years of my law practice. We're going to need to find somebody else to write these things for you.
So you came out of law school knowing the importance of writing too. It just was in the other direction.
I mean, it is the bedrock of what we do.
Yeah.
And if you can't write it, you can't argue it.
Totally.
But I have always really tried to find talented folks to do that for me.
For sure.
And I love the idea of being able to have an idea of how you want to fight a case, how you want to tackle it, and to have this great relationship with a good writer and say, I would like the law to say this. I have a vague recollection of some facts. Can you put that together?
Yeah, I mean, I think law is more like an order at a restaurant. I'd like to order some law that says this.
Right.
Yeah, and with a side of this, perhaps, but don't include this because that would make the meal bad.
Now you can just ask ChatGPT for that, or you just order and it'll tell you whatever you want to hear.
That's right.
Apparently.
So you go from South Texas moot court mock trial genius, human genius.
Thank
And
you.
it must have been fulfilling a childhood dream to just skyrocket right into bankruptcy work.
No, I mean, it was always commercial litigation, but then, the bankruptcy stuff just kind of grew and grew. I've just been fortunate to do a lot of these adversary cases. And for me, I've just been really lucky to be part of one bankruptcy in particular that's really meaningful for me, which is the bankruptcy on behalf of the Sandy Hook families against Alex Jones.
So just brief catch up for our audience, sir. Bill Ogden, our co-host, and his firm they handled this Alex Jones case there in Austin. And I guess last week, the HBO show, The Truth versus Alex Jones came out. And we were talking off camera. We both make appearances in it, although we weren't friends back then. We're best friends now, but back then we didn't know each other.
Yeah. It was tense.
Yeah. It was a weird... we talked about this a little bit. It was weird to be in that courtroom. Very strange to be in a room with Alex Jones for a variety of reasons. He's a strange person to be around. But So Bill and his team with Mark Bankston, who's been on the show, and Kyle Fair and Wesley Ball, they go get this great verdict, well publicized, and they don't get a nickel. They got to turn it over to you. Tell me what you're doing with regard to the bankruptcy, how that's playing out, what your role is and all that.
Absolutely. So I've been fortunate enough to spearhead the bankruptcy on behalf of Mark and Bill's clients. And right now there's actually two bankruptcies. There's one that was filed by Alex Jones's business, Free Speech Systems. And then there's a separate one filed by Alex Jones himself. And it's just been a lot of complicated issues. And we're trying to basically to finish out the justice here. I think Mark and Bill did an amazing job of getting our clients vindicated in court and having a jury of their peers say that what Alex did was completely wrong. But, I think part of the process of getting justice for these families, our clients, is to get Jones to pay. And we're looking for some other resolutions. One of the things that's on the table now, I can't really get into too many specifics, but one of the things that we're trying to accomplish in this bankruptcy is to work out some sort of arrangement where Alex Jones doesn't talk about Sandy Hook ever again.
Can you do that inside of a bankruptcy? Can that be a condition of discharge?
It can be if Jones agrees to it. And so, I can't get into specifics. There's talks about that, but one of the things that I'm trying to accomplish in this bankruptcy is to get Alex Jones to pay, because I think that's a huge source of accountability. But also, if we can do this right, we can get Jones to agree to not talk about Sandy Hook anymore. So there's a lot at stake, because that's not guaranteed, and so we've got to fight hard to sort of press all the buttons for leverage to get that to happen. But that's what we're angling for, right?
Are both of them in Western District of Texas?
They're both in the Southern District of Texas, and I don't know if you all know this, but Houston is one of the big epicenters of bankruptcy filings around the country.
Yeah.
And so, they're in the Southern District of Texas right now.
I have some more questions about bankruptcy.
Sure.
And please treat Peter and I as though we were a fourth grader or a golden retriever. We know nothing about bankruptcy, so no answer is too prosaic for us.
Fair enough.
At least for me.
That's fair.
So there was a case in Sandy Hook, a state case, and then there's the case down in Austin. Are all of those claims, are those verdicts all now combined into one bankruptcy?
Yeah, so basically the way it works in bankruptcy is the debtor, which is Jones, anyone he owes a debt to, which is the families that sued him in Austin, Texas, the families that sued him in Connecticut, he's got to make a plan to figure out how to pay these people.
And is free speech, how did it end up in the Southern District of Texas, which is Houston?
Yeah, great question. That might be a better question for the Jones and FSS side. But they filed originally in Victoria, Texas, because they claim to have a connection there.
And there's probably only one judge you get when you file there.
No comments.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an objective fact, right? I mean,
there's one judge in the Victoria Division of the Southern District of Texas. But honestly, I think that's a benefit to us. He's a fantastic judge. So I don't know what their thinking was, and I don't want to speak to that. But I mean, we've got a fantastic judge, and one of the important things he's done in the case, which I'm grateful for, that he allowed us to make the argument and just look at it straight, was he held Jones' debt to be non-dischargeable. So, and usually in bankruptcy, right, a debt, and you've got to do this bankruptcy process, and at the end of it, your debt is discharged if you pay according to a plan or if you liquidate your assets. Well, we got a summary judgment holding that what Jones did, the type of debt that he has to these families, is not a dischargeable debt, and we got that on summary judgment.
And what's the basis for making it a non? So I'm aware that there are certain kinds of debts, usually for intentional torts,
right?
Or student loans,
or what?
Student loans,
or student loans
for a super list.
Yeah, right. So fraud, intentional torts. Was that the nature of the argument, that this was an intentional tort and so it shouldn't be dischargeable?
So yes and no. So the list of ones that are not dischargeable, there's a whole list. It's in 523 of the Bankruptcy Code. I'm sure.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Pass me a pen, Peter. Right.
You read it.
I'm going to write that up. I have that memorized. Section 523. Come on, Avi.
You're indulging.
I'm an old bankruptcy dog.
Yeah, clearly. No, but there's a whole list, and one of the debts that are not dischargeable is a debt that arises from a willful and malicious injury. And I think we had a pretty good case that's what happened here. Yeah.
There's a question about whether you'd have to litigate that in the bankruptcy or if it should have been litigated at the trial court state level?
Well, not quite. So normally it's a separate adversary case that you file for non-dischargeable claims. And so we had to file a separate lawsuit and then say that the debts are non-dischargeable. What happened here was we were able to apply collateral estoppel and say, based on all the findings that happened, the default judgments that Bill and Mark got in Travis County, that a lot of the issues about whether it was willful and malicious has already been decided, and we just get to import it. And so that was the basis of our summary judgment motion, and the court agreed.
Good. So real quick before we leave the Alex Jones stuff.
Sure.
One of the things that I found most astounding about Alex Jones's trial is the river of money that this guy makes by selling these supplements, the Alpha Brain, the sexual virility drugs, all sorts of bizarre stuff, which was also kind of this gross juxtaposition, because you would have his articles about dead kids not really being existed next to a advertisement for penis pills. But the guy was, and I don't know if he still is, but it seemed like he was just raking in cash. And there's a scene in the documentary where it seems like almost the only question that he answers honestly is Mark says something like, "You do this to sell supplements, don't you?" And he says, "We've got great supplements, the best supplements. They're straight from Japan, the best lab you can get."
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Has that borne out to be the case that free speech systems is still kind of a money-making machine? Has it slowed down at all because of the verdict? And to be frank, maybe the fact that if he continues to make money is good for your clients. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you touched on a really sensitive and important area, right? But the answer to your questions are that the company continues to make a lot of they're making money out of, selling conspiracies and then selling nutraceuticals, right? Like Brain Force Ultra and whatever it is.
I mean, I'm on it right now.
Yeah, it's working.
So,
and Avi, along those lines, so the company's still making money, but it's in bankruptcy, and you've talked about the concept of a trustee.
Yeah.
Who is running the company right now as it's in bankruptcy?
So, the trustee you'll have in a Chapter 7, and we're in a Chapter 11. And so the difference is, where in a Chapter 7, you're selling all your assets. In a Chapter 11, you're getting into a payment plan to use future assets to pay your debts off. And so in that situation, it's actually Jones's company continues to be in possession and control. They've hired a person to be the chief restructuring officer. So Jones isn't quite running the financials of the company.
Is there like a controller in place to make sure he's not like siphoning off cash?
That's exactly what the role of a person is. And you see it a lot in bankruptcy. They'll put a chief restructuring officer in place. And this person's done, a good job of trying to maximize the money that company is making, understanding that money is going to go to these families who deserve it.
And that's someone who's court appointed or court approved?
It's court approved.
So it's not like his, second cousin, best friend. It's someone who's completely independent.
Yeah, well, the way it works is actually the Jones team gets to pick their CRO. And early in this bankruptcy, one of the things that happened was that the court rejected that CRO. And so a new one was put in place that was basically one that was, with the approval of the families. Because that first one, I mean, we had issues with them. I'll leave it at that. And so did the court.
What's the total debt based on the two verdicts owed by, and by the way, is it a debt owed by Alex Jones or Free Speech Systems, or is there no distinction?
It's joint and several, the debt. It's a tricky question. The total debt, it's about $2 billion.
With a B?
With a B, yeah.
That's a lot of Cheddar.
Are there other pending lawsuits against him? That I know there was the Delaware one and the also one. Were there any other family members have other?
No, this was the Connecticut one, and then the one that was in Austin.
Sorry,
yeah, there was a couple of cases brought by other families that hadn't gone to trial, and that's being worked out through the bankruptcy process. And then there was one man named Marcel Fontaine, who I'm sure Bill may have talked about him before, but he was not a Sandy Hook person, but he was actually the one who got the whole process started because
he did talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm happy to tell you more about it.
Nobody listens to Bill.
That was like that was before Bill was famous. So people don't really listen.
Yeah. So who's Marcel Fontaine?
Yeah. Well, poor Marcel, he's no longer with us. But he was misidentified by Jones's show as being the Parkland shooter at that horrible shooting in Parkland, Florida, that high school.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so they found a picture of him on the internet, and they started saying this is the guy. And so for a while, he was considered this murderer, and obviously that's just straight up defamation, and caused a lot of problems in Marcel's life. And good for Marcel. He refused to be a victim about it, and he did something about it. And he found Mark and Bill. They brought that case, and he was the first one to go after Jones. And then shortly after, the families contacted Mark and Bill to vindicate their rights as well. So. Marcel's a really special person, and unfortunately, he died in an apartment fire last year. So he did not get the chance to see it through. But from what I understand, it meant the world to him that he was part of this movement to hold Jones accountable, and much more than for himself, but what he was able to do to the families. I know that was really important to him.
It's kind of got to go without saying this is the weirdest case you've ever been a part of, or okay,
yes.
Most of them are just like some partner screwed another partner in a business deal and sent the money off to Cayman or on a girlfriend or
100%.
So my firm years ago worked on the Dr. Brown hand clinic.
Oh,
guy.
I'm kidding. Okay.
Which at some point I think
another person that's not with us anymore.
He has passed away.
But I have to laugh at that. I feel like I could laugh at that.
You can.
Oh.
So, but I mean, that's a case. I mean, he was not a good person.
I can't believe that hasn't been made into a documentary. Anyone out there? Documentarians, that has got a lot.
I got to tell you, the facts of that case are so unbelievable.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Like, that guy's life jumped the shark. Like, the things that he would do, and we represented a fella who was an executive for the Brown Hand Clinic, who was owed a ton of money.
Yeah.
And so we were part of that bankruptcy. And I think at some point, almost every firm in Houston was part of that case. But that had massive bankruptcy implications. And it was weird because you would have like a bankruptcy hearing on Monday, a family law hearing on Tuesday, a criminal hearing on Wednesday, and then another bankruptcy hearing on Thursday, all for the same dude. But that was weird. Have you worked on anything that even comes close to the strangeness of Sandy Hook?
No, I haven't. And I totally hear about the strangeness part of it, but also in terms of this, how meaningful it is. And so it's just been an honor to be part of that case and to try to give these families some piece of justice. Obviously, what Mark and Bill did was extraordinary in vindicating their rights. And I'm just grateful to be part of the process of trying to turn it, closing it out.
I've got a case for you.
Okay.
So against the New York Times, my son was in the New York Times the other day. Picture of him.
Okay. No kidding.
Because they were doing it just reminded me of that.
Wait,
that's a sad story. This is more funny.
Which son?
The youngest son plays football. So he was in the New York Times because they did something on NIL and college football. And they said, they had my son who's number 16. They said,
Arch Manning?
They said here's a picture of Arch Manning, which is not my son is not Arch.
Misappropriation, name and likeness.
Another. But I think they have the same number. So same thing. My point being, it's kind of, whatever. It's funny. It's my son. But even the New York Times messes up and just went to a stock photo and someone's like, get a picture of Arch Manning. Who is he? I don't know. He's just some kid. Well, he's 16. Okay. They found one and put him on there. They had to do a correction, but the print version is
so 2 things on that. Number 1, you got to buy like 20 of those and have Arch autograph them because there's a chance those are worth a pile of money. Something.
Arch isn't in it. Michael said it. He's
real side. But I mean, how funny is it going to be for Michael to have an autograph of his picture?
I would buy that. Yeah, we got one. Anyone has their New York Times from March 31st? I'd love a copy of it.
And then
I'll split the proceeds.
And then I was going to say, part 2, I don't remember what I was going to say, but I like the idea of getting Arch. Oh, I know what I was going to say. This is the crazy thing, not to dwell on Alex Jones too much, but that is that is the argument that he makes at trial, is that everyone makes mistakes. There's a kernel of truth. Like, you know what? Do we really know what happened at Benghazi? Did we really get the World Trade Center right? So he would say even the New York Times gets it wrong. And so when he spins these giant webs of just total bullshit intentionally, that's his default. Well, I don't get it right all the time. Even the New York Times gets it wrong.
Did one of the entities, free speech systems, did he rename it that at some point to kind of for this purpose? Was it called AJ1 Industries? And then he's like, wait a second, I'm about to get sued. I'm going to call it speech systems.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll let you answer.
No, I think from the beginning it was called free speech systems, but.
So you wouldn't remember this, but when I was in college, when Peter was in college, Alex Jones was this weird guy on Austin Cable Access who would wander around the campus and harass students. And he would walk up to high school students and be like, what are you here for? I'm here for UIL, speech and debate, and Model UN. Oh, you're here for Model UN? Are you part of the globalist conspiracy? Right? And you've got some kid from who's a freshman at Bel Air High School.
Oh my God.
I represent Switzerland. I don't know why are you screaming at me? And we all thought he was this total nut, which he's a nut. But that was my earliest memory of this guy, was late night, Austin Cable Access, him just...
he wasn't really on my radar, but...
You have more important stuff to
do. No, I remember him being on the deal. But I want to talk more about Avi's other stuff. Sure, the stuff you can do for lawyers. You're usually brought in like you were in Bill's case and Mark's case and the Fehrenball. But regular kind of blocking and tackling stuff where you're saying you're doing plaintiff's work, or you can help, I think, a lot of plaintiff lawyers. What are some of the things you can do? If anyone's listening, has a fact scenario, where can you come in and help?
Yeah, it's any sort of business disputes, anything that's on the commercial side. We do a lot of FLSA work. So I've seen a lot of companies over the years for not paying overtime and minimum wage.
And are those class actions?
Yeah, they're called collective actions, but it's like a cousin of a class action. The difference is in a class action, you have to opt out of the class, but everyone's in unless you opt out. In a collective action, the only people that are in the case are the ones that opt into the class.
Okay.
But yeah, we've done that kind of work. Standard breach contract cases, we've done oil and gas cases. But in terms of the things that I like the most is just helping regular people going after businesses who are, cheating them on different ways. And it's really a lot of my docket sums up in that way.
Yeah, that's it, because McDonald Heatherington is interesting because y'all are just the right size to where you can take some guys can have a defense type practice, but others, guys and gals, can make their own practice.
Absolutely. It's not, it's not bureaucratic at all. It's not one of these gigantic firms that doesn't have any flexibility in how they want to do cases. The one thing I'd say they care above all is doing good work for your clients. David McDowell, Tom Hetherington, I can't describe to you enough how stellar of advocates they are. And,
former partner, current federal judge.
That's right, Judge Andy Edison. That's right. Unfortunately, Judge Edison won't do any cases when McDowell Hetherington's, one of the lawyers on the case. I think that's too bad.
Yeah.
So are you allowed to take some of those cases on a contingency, like a real-life plaintiff's lawyer, or?
Yeah. It's like quite a few.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Because the firm was started, these are all Bracewell Patterson lawyers, I think.
Yeah, Bracewell Giuliani at the time. Yeah.
And they have a history of, even though that is, the most white shoe, blue blood, whatever you want to call it, firm in Houston, they had a history of taking on plaintiffs' contingency fee cases, which was, I think, fairly unique. Oh, obviously, Bigger Bots was involved in the Pennzoil Texaco, and V&E had some with Harry Reasoner, had relationships with plaintiffs' lawyers. But Bracewell, I think, was pretty, they were at the same deal. They were at the right size where they could do that. So I guess that was probably culturally with the founders.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't want to oversell. I think most of their practice is defense, and but at the same time, they are absolutely open to plaintiffs' work. And like I said, they care about doing good work for the clients, and they're just stellar advocates. I've been lucky to be part of cases that they've arbitrated and tried, and those guys are amazing to watch. And I've I've grown so much since I've gone to that firm as a litigator.
Have you been there your whole career?
No, I started out in a smaller shop with, do y'all know Danny Goforth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I started out with Danny Goforth's firm, which was cool too, because, he was sort of, toward the end of his career when I joined him, but, he did some big cases, BP oil spill. He had all these cases against O'Quinn over the years.
Because I think he was a defense lawyer originally.
Yeah, I think he was at Sewell Riggs. I think you were there too, right? Did I make that up?
Yeah, well, I was at Gardner Winslow and Riggs.
Okay.
I was there right before me.
I gotcha.
He had gone out and had a little boutique.
Yeah, and it was, he's another just classic trial lawyer. And it was so cool to spend a few years learning under his wing and seeing how to do it the right way.
Yeah. So you went straight from there then to McDonald?
That's right.
Heatherington. There you go.
Yeah.
And that was, how long have you been a lawyer?
Graduated in 12, so I guess 12 years now.
You're getting old.
I believe it. The ball spot is getting bigger and bigger.
And are you ever going back to New Jersey?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm going to try to get an injunction put in place so I can stay away from that horrible place.
It's not that.
It's not that bad.
I know you're making me kind of really already like I kind of want to now go just to like counterbalance.
I think we should all go to a Pitt game.
I think that's a great idea. Pitt games are epic.
We went up to watch the Texas at West Virginia, and we flew into D.C. because we want to see some friends there, but everyone else flew into Pittsburgh. Okay. And I really regretted because I've heard Pittsburgh actually is kind of a cool town.
It's a very cool town. It's redefining itself. But at the same time, you talk to some of the older people there, they're convinced that Pittsburgh won World War II. They're like, our steel is the reason we won.
That's in our true.
I thought that was a given.
Oh, yeah. And they used to brag. They would say, when I was at the school there, the Cathedral of Learning was all covered and stained, and they had this cleanup project because it was stained from years of all the factory work. And people would talk about going to work in the old days with a white button shirt, and they would brag about having to change their shirts at lunchtime because the city was so full of smog. And they were proud of it, right? It was industry. It was doing things.
Those people are all dead.
Those people all had occupational lung diseases, and they're dead now.
Totally.
So did you ever go to spend any time in Philadelphia?
Oh, well, as little as possible.
That's like Dallas and Houston, right?
100%.
So you don't want to be out on the streets of Philadelphia?
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. And then, they call them between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, Pennsyltucky. I don't know.
I was going to say, I've heard that.
I thought it was Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
It's Philadelphia on one end, Pittsburgh on the other, and in the middle is Alabama.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You missed Kyle's Springsteen reference there. The streets.
Well, I said you don't want to be out on the streets of Philadelphia.
Not a bit.
Where did you guys get married? In New York or?
We got married in Houston.
Houston? Okay.
Again, the theme is to spend as little time up there and as much time down here.
You have any kiddos?
We do. We've got a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. They're already smarter than us, so I don't know what to do about that. We got big-time readers. My son is diehard Astros fan. We just got back from spring training, and at the same time, he's the youngest member of the Houston Bonsai Society. So he's
growing trees?
Oh,
yeah, it's intense.
That's a first, and I'm impressed by the bonsai. Obviously Astros. We all love the Astros.
Oh, yeah.
Bonsai trees, that's cool.
It's a whole skill. I know nothing about it. We have to go to these meetings once a month. It's adorable, but he's by far the youngest. The people will come up to me and say, oh, you couldn't find childcare. I'm like, no, I'm his ride. Like, we're here. Yeah, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to be a good sport about it. And, I'm getting bored. And he's just sitting there, a 9-year-old, just taking notes, like studying deciduous trees and how to, cut those tertiary branches versus the primary branches and how to grow moss.
Wow.
He loves it. And then the same kid, you'll hear him talk about the Astros and he's like screaming and,
We have to remind Peter's sons not to stare at the sun a lot of the time.
The bonsai industry thought they were going to get a real boost after Karate Kid.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen. But now I see your son there's a show. He's bringing it back. Emotions. How was spring training at, is it Kissimmee? In Florida for Astros?
Yeah, it was at West Palm in Florida, and it was so fun. We were like just a few feet away from Pena and Altuve, Bregman. They were just warming up right next to us. And it's, it's like Florida in the morning, and everyone's just chill and calm. And then there's my 9-year-old just screaming, let's go Astros. And of course, the players are laughing. I mean, they love every bit of it. They're just smiling at this like 9-year-old who's just.
He's handing out cards. Moshenberg's bonsai.
It's an older crowd.
Yeah, I mean, there's a mix of everyone. A lot of Houstonians. I was just shocked by how many people will fly out to Florida and go to it. But it was great as a community. I ran into someone that I knew from law school there, and we got to talk about what a small world it is. So yeah,
I was in Scottsdale just not for spring training to go with one of my kids to play golf, and I stayed in a hotel where the Giants were, and it was like passionate. The crowd was older, but they were passionate. I mean, wearing every Giants thing you could wear, and I mean, it was and the games were like at 2:00, and they were starting at 8:00, hitting the pregame routine. So I think spring training sounds fun.
Those guys work hard too. I mean, I really can't undersell that. And I thought you just kind of show up to a baseball game, and they were like out really early in the morning because we were trying to get autographs, and they're there, they're warming up, they're doing everything. I mean, and it was like a mid-afternoon game, and they were there like 8 a.m. getting ready, which kind of sounds like a regular job. So maybe I should just not praise it so much.
For them, that's like the funnest part of playing baseball, because it's like it was when you were in high school or even younger than that. It's just baseball, right? It's like there's only not a big crowd. There's not a lot of pressure and not a lot of TV.
Totally.
There you go, Kyle. For your next,
highly recommend it.
Yeah, you take my next trip. Take your girls down there.
I can't stress enough how irritated they would be by it. I mean, they would be like slow. So I'll be totally honest. I'm not a particularly patient person. Probably why I'm attracted to this job a little bit. I can do about 4.5 to 5 innings of baseball, which means I show up in the second or third. I only stay to the ninth if it's a good game. And my daughters especially, well, I would just say both of them, they have no patience for baseball at all. And I've tried everything. I'll buy a hot dog. I'll buy a sundae and a helmet. I'll buy you a shirt. I'll buy you a teddy bear. I'll buy you a bat. And they're not into it.
Let me make a rec.
Yeah,
when I was a kid, we went to a ton of Astros games when I was a kid. And I would keep score with the
scorebook. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know your daughters are very meticulous and smart. If you showed them how to keep score, I bet you they would really enjoy it.
Peter, I would have to learn how to keep score. And I'm not a Luddite, Peter. I'm embracing technology. They have this gigantic screen in the outfield. Tells you all the stats you need to know, and
I've seen the screen. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you have some experience with this giant screen. And the thing is, at baseball games, they serve cocktails from time to time.
Yeah.
And
don't
like you're going to lose that little, I'm going to lose that little pencil, and then I'm just going to have to go back to the.
I never know how much drinking to do in front of my children. I've decided all the drinking, but I don't know what the right answer is.
I feel like anything that's not abusive is fine.
Okay.
And I really I don't think you should get hammered in front of your kids.
Fair.
But I also think your kids should be able to see and model what a healthy relationship with alcohol looks like.
The Dirty Verdict is not a parenting podcast. The Dirty Verdict makes no recommendations about best parent practices, all opinions.
Moshenberg's, bonsai trees, and children's bar.
Thank you. I just had to say that.
Yeah. Little Timmy, can I get you a gin cocktail?
No pun intended. Yeah, let's go down the street, have some drinks, talk about that.
How much should I let my kids see me drink?
Okay, but other practice area, we want the world to know what you do, so where they can help.
This might be interesting. So I've had a couple of cases.
Sure.
I had a case against an oil and gas executive who was in an accident and killed 2 people.
Oh, no kidding.
This was years ago. And he claimed he didn't have any insurance. I sued him. He claimed there was, he hired a lawyer on his own.
Okay.
And alleging that there was no coverage anywhere. Now, he did own some real estate.
Okay.
And I brought a Taaffe case.
Cool. Okay.
Which is a Texas Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act.
Nailed it.
And along with the Taaffe filing, I sent a notice letter saying, you shall not transfer any of these assets. And within about 36 hours, a whole new set of lawyers that represented millions of dollars of insurance appeared out of nowhere to defend on a CGL policy owned by the company that he owned and ran.
There you go.
And so, and I have talked to lawyers over the years who have this similar problem, right? Catastrophic injuries, not enough insurance or no insurance. And in cases where you come across a principal or a vice principal of a company or somebody that has substantial assets, I mean, that's something that you could jump into.
Absolutely. And just the nature of our practice in general is we kind of have to understand the inner workings of a business regularly. So, we're able to explain the corporate structures, how to read the financials, go through all those documents and think of creative arguments that maybe may not occur to someone. So, it's really anything. We're just fluid in business. And, we, not to say we won't help businesses from time to time, but, the work that we really like doing is helping people and get some justice after some of these companies.
And, bankruptcy court is a very small little practice, and it has a lot of special rules, obviously, bankruptcy code, procedure, and then just there's a lot of unwritten rules, I would assume.
Absolutely. It's like the Wild West. And my favorite part for all the, the lawyers out there who are maybe personal injury lawyers and they're great trial lawyers and they hear the B word bankruptcy, you should be scared to give me a call. But let me tell you the truth. All bankruptcy hearings are evidentiary in nature. So they're always like little mini trials. And you'd be shocked. You come in, you're a personal injury lawyer and you know what you're doing. You know how to cross-examine a witness. You know how to put on a show. It's a huge skill set. And I invite people to not be so terrified of the word. I want you to be just afraid enough where you call me. But at the same time, I'm happy to hold your hand and walk you through the process because I think it's great for a skilled advocate. I mean, you're in court doing little mini trials regularly. It's not in front of a jury, but those trial skills translate really well in a bankruptcy court.
And this is a dumb question. Are there any special different evidentiary rules, or is it just federal rules of evidence?
It's federal rules of evidence, but it's a bench trial. So, the judge is going to enforce those rules to the extent the judge wants to.
And the judges are appointed, but it's like for a 13-year term or something like that?
Yeah, that's right. I forget the number. I think it's 14 years, something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, not Article 3, but it's pretty darn close.
Absolutely.
It is Article 3, right? That's what the federal judges are?
Sounds right, Peter.
Yeah.
I've been in a bankruptcy court for 2 days in my entire life, and I don't know anything about bankruptcy. I would know enough about bankruptcy to call Avi.
Perfect answer.
And say, I have questions, and I don't know what questions to start with.
I didn't hear you. Can you say that one more time?
Call Avi.
Yeah, it's definitely an area where you don't want to go. It's not a DIY thing. I mean, you want to go hire someone that does it a lot.
Every time I get involved in some bankruptcy, it's almost always unintentional.
Yeah,
and I normally get a letter from a trustee or someone that says you are violating the stay. You shall go away. You shall go away right now. I will call the judge. And I'm like, hey man, I thought that was stuff. Because I really only know how to do one thing in bankruptcy, and that's to file a motion to lift stay.
Okay.
And I'm batting 1,000 on those.
Nailed it. Awesome. That's not an easy one to win necessarily, so good for you.
Really?
Well, it depends on the nature of the lawsuit, but you hit on the head that, if you have a tort claim, for instance, there are certain ones that have to be liquidated, as they call, by a jury.
Sure.
That can't be liquidated by a court through like an estimations process.
Right.
And so those claims are more likely to have a lift stay, but it's not always an easy lift.
Well, I'm not kidding. Like I probably do one once a year.
Okay.
Because a lot
make it 0 a year because he's going to handle your once a year.
Yeah. What the heck?
It's a what?
A fee.
It is one. Okay. So fair enough.
Yeah.
I've got a hearing. We'll do a test run.
Okay.
I have a hearing on a motion to lift stay in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You do this one for free, and then all the rest goes to you. Because this is the only one that I've ever had that's been contested that I seriously think there's a chance I won't win. A 90% chance I win, but you never know.
So I don't really bring Avi back in a month and hear about his disastrous turn for free.
He's going to say to us what? Well, so my brief has already been filed on.
Okay.
My response has already been filed.
No. So I've got a lot of cover if it doesn't pan out.
Well, and my guess is you're going to end up saying to our audience the same thing that Dean Treese said to me 25 years ago. Kyle, don't write these things down. Have someone else write these things down. You got a nice mouth.
I'm so glad that you brought up Treese. I really miss him. I just loved him so much.
He taught my torts 1.
Okay.
No, torts 2. He taught torts 2, and man, what a great teacher! And he used to say just the most wonderful things. And and just great with students, loved being around young people. And he would come in and judge our mock trial rounds on occasion.
Awesome.
And which was great because to be fair, my coaches were much nicer to me and they threw less things when Treese was around.
Oh, that's great.
But also we had a young lady who baked a lot. Her name was Laura, and she unfortunately has Laura Fowle. She passed away a couple of years ago, which is terribly sorry. But she baked a lot, and she would bring brownies and cookies and all kinds of and cakes to our, all of those rounds are at night, right? Like 7 to 10 at night. And interestingly enough, I think Treese figured out our audience doesn't know him. He's a very large man. I don't mean fat, just like very big dude.
Just like 6'4", 6'5", probably. Yeah.
But he would come down and sit in the jury box in Joe Green or Garrett Towns.
Love it. Great references.
And he would watch us perform, and he would slowly make his way to counsel table and grab 3 or 4 brownies. And Kyle, that's a great objection. That's a Maryland Heights. What are these blondies or brownies? These are just delicious. But he spent more time with us, I think, mostly because he was there for the baked goods.
That's fantastic. And that totally tracks. I love that. That's a great.
I mean,
yeah.
Where can people find you online?
I believe I'm the only Avi Moshenberg in the country. So you can Google my name and you'll find me.
And the firm website?
Well, we're at McDonald Heatherington. I don't actually know the web address. I can't believe you put me on the spot.
Oh, it's something shorter than that.
Maybe mhllp.com?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's a great law firm, folks. I totally recommend them.
Yeah, of course. We'll put a link to your bio, Josh, right, in the story. And can find you if anyone wants to hire you for any reason.
And Moshenberg is Mosh, not Motion.
That would have been cool. That would have been for legal writing too. That would be awesome.
You could still change it.
Make a
That's my brain.
You like an Instagram handle that's like that.
I feel like there's like a
Moshenberg,
Texas Hammer. Like there's something I could do with that, right? Like there's something there. But you guys are more creative than I am. I'm counting on you guys to help me figure that out.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, of course, Kyle, Josh. Now, speaking of, if you want to talk to someone about doing digital marketing, call Josh Dunn. Chaos Theory. .digital.
True. If you want to sue someone, you can call Kyle Herbert at herberttriallaw.com.
And Bill Ogden, of course, if you want to sue.
Well, he's not here.
Or old Elon got sued. He got deposed last Wednesday by Mark Bankston.
Yeah, he did indeed.
Yes, we will have Bill to talk about that to the extent he's allowed to under whatever protective orders in place.
I called Bill
to say that because I think that will be the source of some drama from what I understand.
Yeah. We have not heard anything about that, of course.
I
called or any screenshots or anything like that.
I think I called in during the depot. Nothing. I know I did. I called in during the depot.
What, you accidentally zoomed into the...
Oh, no.
My Zoom. Sorry, I thought I was at the...
I called Bill, and he was like, hold on, shh. And then I could hear Elon in the background. He was like, I got to go. And he hung up. But that's fascinating stuff.
So, McDonald Heatherington, which is, we think, mhllp.com.
Sounds right.
Herbert Law Firm.
Look, if you can't find me at this point, we're just dance. If you can't find us at this point, we're just dancing in the
country. Kyle, you have the prettiest offices, man. Thanks for hosting us. It's just beautiful here. Obviously, you do good work.
Yeah, for sure.
I judge books by their cover.
Thank you. You should.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 5 seconds to do your last spring or
Bon Jovi
reference. Hurry.
I miss Bill. I feel like I'm on fire. I got a hungry heart. To be totally honest, there's Murder at the Edge of Town, Murder Incorporated, and
Tunnel of Love.
There you go.
Nailed it. I'm blown away right now.
I will all love some Bruce.
Bid you all a very good night.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Josh, I assume we can have some fade out music by the boss.
Yeah.